Logan's success at the box office has defied all known movie laws. The third time actually was the charm. Now, what was the difference between this and its predecessors? This one was rated R. Was the gritty gore and cursing what made the difference? It's time to do some detective work to see if higher ratings mean higher acclaim. I was actually quite the naysayer when it came to Logan. When I first heard it was based on Old Man Logan, I thought that Fox was making a mistake by doing a story that was missing a majority of the characters. I'd also been burned by the Wolverine movies before. I was so sick of the character in general. I went on a rant with my friends about why I wasn't looking forward to it. By the way, Tony, you were right. I was wrong. It was fucking awesome. Logan was the perfect way to say goodbye to a character we had known and loved for 17 years. But in its wake is the question of the R-rated comic book movie. Fox has had critical and financial success twice now with Logan and Deadpool. Everyone wants to know if we'll see an R-rated Batman movie in the future. Yeah. Nope. Investigation over. This is actually kind of a dumb question. Well, if you want to get technical, we've already gotten 2 R-rated Batman movies. Both the direct-to-video Killing Joke and the director's cut of Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice were rated R. While these weren't theatrical releases, I think they still count. We know what people thought of them, and the answer is not great. People have been waiting decades for the Killing Joke movie. When Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy signed on to reprise their roles from the animated series, people were thrilled. And then they bogged the story down in a bizarre subplot of Batgirl and Batman getting it on. The director's cut of Dawn of Justice got a better reception than its theatrical release, but it was still lukewarm at best. The movie was stupid, Jesse Eisenberg was a horrible Lex Luthor, and the ending still involved the revelation that Bruce and Clark had mothers with the same name. If you look at Wikipedia, you will see that there are already 40 movies based on comic books that have been rated R. Why aren't people thinking about that when they ask if Deadpool and Logan are introducing a trend of darker comic book movies? Because most of them weren't any good. The films tend to get critically or financially panned. Most of the time, both. Sometimes one will sneak in that ends up with a cult following, but for the most part, they suck. So why did Logan and Deadpool sneak in there? Again, the answer's simple. It's because they were good. I'm not saying that there aren't hidden gems that get lost or underappreciated, but with Logan and Deadpool, the reason they were successful is because they were good films. They're also incredibly different from anything else that had come before them. Deadpool was an irreverent action comedy that stayed true to the character by embracing the manic insanity of the main character, layering on meta humor that poked fun at the genre and the universe. Logan was a gritty drama that was more of a character study with interspersed action sequences. You could have actually removed the action sequences almost entirely and still had a fantastic movie with just Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart acting against each other. The R rating wasn't essential to the success of either of these films. But they didn't hurt the quality, as they were still able to retain the spirit of the source material. Deadpool is a mercenary with a habit of killing people and injuring himself in grotesque ways. Logan is a trained killer with a berserker rage and metal claws. The addition of blood and guts to these movies are for actual story purposes, and not just for their own sake. Take Suicide Squad. Would that movie have been improved with an R rating if Enchantress hadn't turned her minions into rock monsters, and instead the squad had to shoot, slash, and bash through brainwashed humans? If the Joker's torture of Harley had been vividly shown? If the cast got to show that bad guys like to curse up a storm? Yeah. It still would have been Suicide Squad, just with, violence and cursing. And this isn't me being moral guardian, won't somebody please think of the children. I swear enough to make a fucking sailor blush. I love Game of Thrones and Walking Dead and Oz and a host of other things with violence and sex. My very first comic, which I read when I was 9, involved a child being beaten with a crowbar before he was blown up. I'm not pearl clutching because I don't like the idea of R-rated comic book movies, but asking the question if R-rated comic book movies are the wave of the future because of Deadpool and Logan is a dangerous trap to fall into, and that's the magic bullet. The magic bullet of movies is an idea that there is one particular thing that will drive people to the theaters in droves. It's why when The Hunger Games hit the box office, you suddenly got a deluge of post-apocalyptic teenager movies. It's the idea that there is a fad or gimmick that as long as it's in the movie, you'll be successful. Like I said, Deadpool and Logan were successful because they were good. Why were they good? The people who were making them actually wanted to tell a good story using those characters. Take a look at the major comic book movie missteps in the past few years, and it's pretty easy to see where they fell apart. Suicide Squad was written in 6 weeks and had 2 different cuts from 2 different companies smushed together. Batman v Superman was forcing a shared universe after only one establishing film, shoehorning in as many elements at the expense of a coherent storyline, plus basic misunderstanding of the fundamental aspects of the characters. Age of Ultron ignored character development in the solo films, and was the product of a studio and a director at loggerheads. But when it came to Deadpool and Logan, passion for the projects shone through. Everyone was on their A-game. The writers, the directors, the actors. If anything, the R rating was a testament to how much they wanted the movies told in the proper way. Both Deadpool and Logan would have reached a much wider audience if they had been done as PG-13. But the R rating was important to the story they wanted to tell. Even making a good movie is not a magic bullet for a successful film. There have been a ton of great but underappreciated films. There's no formula to guaranteed success. The acclaim for these movies has come from the fact that they were original, clever scripts done by people who wanted to see the absolute best version of these characters on screen. People had been waiting for years to see a faithful adaptation of them. If there's another comic book movie that suits an R rating, I think the producers should go for it. Don't be afraid. If you have a good product, that's what's important. The content should drive the rating, not the other way around. Of course, the film rating system is fundamentally broken, but that was better handled in this than anything I could cover in a 10-minute YouTube video. The important thing is that having blood, gore, swearing, and sex in your movie does not make it fundamentally better. It was that mentality that led to the 90s grimdark comics, and nobody wants that coming to a theater near us. So that's the video. Like, comment, and subscribe to see more of my analysis of movies, television, and media. I've also got the Trash Compactor podcast, Star Wars from the Female Perspective, and Return to the Hellmouth, a Buffy rewatch. Thanks for watching.